GM. To YouTube, a bang, a bang, a bang. A GM. So, all right, can we, yeah, focus. Yeah, there we go. Very nice. Jagex has recently put up a new blog post about real-world trading. Now, if you've seen the recent-ish video from Solo Mission about the botting problem, you can say whatever you want about his methods for figuring out this data, but Solo Mission effectively came to the conclusion that there are a lot more bots than people really thought. Kind of going hand in hand with a bunch of people talking about how we're in the golden age. With the golden age comes a lot of people looking to profit off of it. So we've seen a huge surge in botting at a bunch of different locations. A bunch of items have been down. It's much, much harder to make money these days. The top-end moneymakers are all under 20 mil an hour. A lot of things are worse. So we're going to get into Jagex's response to real-world trade in general, because that's where the botting comes from, is real-world trade. From its root. That's where it starts. Before we do that, let it be known, we are extremely close to 100K subs. We're teetering on the edge of that. Apparently, my wife has some special surprise planned for when we hit 100K. I don't know what that's going to be, but sub up if you haven't yet. Okay, so before we talk about anything, I just wanted to show like the actual impact on the economy. So when bots massively farm something, brings a lot of supply into the game, that makes prices go down. Just want to show a couple examples that we've seen from like higher level PVM that really, really brings down the prices. The most obvious one to think of is Sunfire Splinters, which hit a low of like 75 GP each. Coliseum right now is like 6 mil GP an hour, which is less than, it's like equal to Hydra. It's less than many other top tier moneymakers like Next, Tob, like everything else is better than it now. We saw Oathplate, which has actually come back up a bit, which we'll talk about. But Oathplate hit an all-time low of about 60 mil per piece. It's actually back up to 85 mil. A bunch of items were down and have started actually coming back up. And the only logical explanation for this is they have been extremely heavily botted. If you go to any of these places, you can see people running in constantly, like hordes and hordes of bots. But Jagex has actually been cracking down quite a bit on botting. And they had some kind of major ban wave at the end of August, and things have started to come back up. It's actually really good to see. I'm really, it's a big concern whenever we're having these big player counts and the game is popping off. Like, that's awesome. But with it comes a lot of people looking to capitalize on those players, like looking to sell GP to them. So anytime the game has a big uptick in player count, it also has a big uptick in botting. And we actually see this like way back in 2007. This was kind of the same thing. Bots were getting completely out of control, and they decided to hit the nuclear option of removing free trade and the wilderness to completely prevent botting from being possible, like completely preventing real-world trade. So obviously that's horrible. I don't want that to happen again, and I don't want Jagex's hand to be forced to make a decision like this. It's good to see them firing back and trying to tackle some of this. Potentially. So let's take a look at the blog post. It's about a message about real-world trading. So they say, a disappointing number of players have sought unfair advantages by buying in-game gold directly off illicit sellers. This is called real-world trading, and the game's rules expressly forbid it. Real-world trading means buying or selling in the real world for real money in exchange for anything of value, things that relate to Jagex accounts, which now includes names and services, which they mention in a second, but items, names, services, buying that with real money. This rule breaking doesn't just affect the players who's buying the gold, it creates a financial incentive for people who don't care about the game to flood it with bots and throwaway accounts to gather gold to sell. So when legitimate players gather items to sell in the GE, they'll earn less, which is what we just said. Like, yeah, when Oathplate was 60 mil, like good luck potting Yama. That's just not, it's just not worth it when items are that low. It genuinely hurts the game, like, economically a lot when bots are being flooded into the game. They'll earn less because the market's affected by botted resources, and playing alongside all the highly visible bots is infuriating. They also just make it impossible to find worlds for stuff, like good luck finding a God Wars world, you know, that kind of thing. Like, it's just impossible. Vires are just overloaded. There's like 10 people in every Vire world, so it makes it impossible to get anywhere. Our hardworking anti-cheat staff are being aided by analysts and other staff across Jagex to help them clamp down on the bots. That's addressing the supply side, but we need to address the demand side too. So this actually like is noticeable just in the graphs on the prices. Like you can see like they definitely did something here. So they're not capping. Like they are doing something. Now you could say, you know, they're still not probably doing enough. They were definitely doing the absolute bare minimum, and like the high scores were filling up like top pages with bots, like ranks 5 through like 50 on like these super high profit bosses were all botted. These days it's looking a little bit brighter, so that's at least good, but we need to address the demand side too, since the sellers only have an incentive to gather all this wealth because of those players who buy it off them. So the main reason that bots are running is to generate GP for real world trade purposes, to sell it. So for sure, and I've been saying this for a while on stream, it's much less about just like getting like banning bots is like bailing water off the ship. Like, yeah, that's great. But the hole that's leaking water into the ship, that's the people buying gold, right? They're the ones poking holes in the ship, right? Because they're the whole cause for water coming into the boat, right? Like, the water stops coming into the boat if there's no more hole in the ship, right? So the people buying the gold are the holes in the side of the ship, which is really what the focus should be on more so than bailing water out of the ship, because that's only going to temporarily work. There's going to be more water. There's an endless supply of water in the fucking ocean. That's not going to go anywhere. So buying gold off a real-world trader is already very clearly against the rules, but historically we've treated the buyers more leniently than the sellers when issuing penalties for real-world trading, which has never made sense to me. It does when you think about it, because the gold buyers are the ones that keep playing the game. If you ban a bot, they're just going to come back. They're going to pay for membership, so there's a clear incentive there to ban them no matter what. But the people buying gold are your paying customers. So banning them is it's a lot worse than banning bots. So there's more incentive to bail water out than actually fix the problem, right? And bailing water helps. I'm not going to say it is good that they ban bots, but that shouldn't be the focus. As part of our clampdown on those gold farming bots and the harm they do to old school RuneScape, we're now taking a harsher line against players caught buying gold from them. If you're buying your gold that way, please don't expect to get away with just a warning. Our agents will issue bans, temporary or permanent, depending on the situation, even for first offenses, as well as confiscating items from the offenders. Okay, so this is this a bunch of cap? This is the important sentence. Because, and this is what I have heard, I don't buy gold, so I don't know, but I have heard, allegedly, that when you buy gold, you would get a 1 to 2 week ban, and then they would remove the cash stack if you let it sit there until you got banned. But let's say you went and bought a Zerai crossbow with that shiny cash stack. Oh, they won't take that away from you. Or let's say, I don't know, you put it in the blast furnace coffer, or whatever. As long as you put that money anywhere else, they weren't taking it away. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's 100% true, but that's just what I've heard, like hearsay. So they say confiscating items. Are they actually going to track where that money's going and actually take the item away? Because if so, that's pretty important. Because as it was, well, I only need to buy gold one time. Let me buy 500 mil, get the ban, get the 2 week vacation. I was going to, quit RuneScape temporarily anyways. Maybe this just timed out right. And I put my money into a Zerai crossbow. So sweet. Win. I take my 2 week ban. I won't do it again. And I got 500 mil. Like, no consequences whatsoever. Like, yes, you can't play the game temporarily, but that is literally the only consequence. So the question is, are they actually going to follow through on any of this? The only way we're going to find out is hearing from people in the future that get banned. So very curious to see if they actually start punishing people. The other question too is, are they going to track people that mule? Because muling is a huge thing. If you buy gold, even if they at least do the bare minimum of checking if you put it in a coffer or if you bought items, is there still going to be a workaround where you can mule with other accounts, like just trade it to an alt to avoid getting? I don't know. We'll see. It's very important that they follow through properly. They also mention temporary or permanent depending on the situation. So I don't know if that's like the quantity of gold you bought or something. They really need to be leaning towards perm bans. They really need to be doing that, because again, if it's just a slap on the wrist, at least at the bare minimum, if they take away your items and you don't get away with it for free and then still enjoy the benefits of buying the gold, like, that's something. They really need to lean towards perm bans and just like scorched earth the gold buyers, because that is where all of this market comes from. It's the real root it's the root of the tree here. Like, that's what needs to be chopped out, or else it'll just keep, the bots are never going to stop coming back. Never, ever, ever. As long as there are gold buyers. There's nothing that's going to stop them. I'm also very curious to see if all these changes they're making, like they've been hiring people and making changes to the systems in the background, I'm curious if they're actually going to start banning for servicing. They do ban for services, I think, but a lot of stuff is just, you know, they haven't banned someone for buying an Inferno Cape in a long time, like many years. I have not heard of someone, and I hear about bad actors, like I hear about it through the grapevine. I haven't heard of anyone getting their Inferno Cape taken away in years. Honestly, the login services for stuff like Blorva is just like, it's still a huge market, even with them like cracking down on the Discords and stuff like that. I'm curious to see if they start cracking down on services as well. This one is specifically about real world trade. So I'm curious to see if that also includes things like services, if they're going to start cranking up the ban machine for that again. I think it's really lame that a bunch of people service, especially these cosmetic specific items like Blorva that have nothing to do in the game. They don't give you any benefit except status. It really takes away from the status when people are buying these items through services. I'm very curious if they're going to start banning for that, because it's just the worst. Like, I hate that. I hate that so much. It really brings, when I see someone with Blorva, I don't know if they bought it or not. It brings that like status down for me when I see someone with Blorva. I'm not like, ooh, okay, someone with Blorva, a bit of a gamer in front of me. All right. My thought is like, okay, let me see if they bought it or not. Let me see if I can figure that out. Which is super lame. That shouldn't even be a thought in the back of my head. It's really annoying. If you just hop around in the PvP worlds a little bit, you're going to see bot Inferno Cape after bot Inferno Cape. And at least there it kind of makes sense. They want max hits, and they don't do PVM, so that's why they're buying it. Like, that makes sense. But all the time I see people as well, like people with Blorva that, I don't know, man. I don't know how they got that, but, you know, like, I can just tell based on, like, looking at an account, like, if it actually, like, if this is a person who actually did something or not. A lot of times, like with Coliseum Quivers, you see people jump instantly to like 40K, 45K glory on their first attempt. From like no glory high scores to instantly 45K. Like, oh, you just first attempt, one shot, like did a speed run 20-minute quiver. Oh, you're dang. Wow, that's impressive. Damn, you're really, really good. Yeah, surely. We see bot quivers all the time. Bot everything. So many services are getting abused and have not been getting banned for a long time. A long time ago, they used to ban and take away Inferno Capes, but at some point, they just kind of stopped like trying, it seems like, because for years and years, they just haven't been doing that. And I think a big reason for this, again, is that incentive is just, it's minimal, because the negative effect these people have on the game is the status of an item is lessened. It's not like that's not like the end of the civilized world. But if you perm someone who's played the game a lot and manages to get the gear to service like Blorva or something of that tier, these are long-term players. You don't really want to perm them. So Jagex doesn't really have the incentive in that to go perming them either. Kind of the same thing as the gold buyers. So this gives me hope that also is going to include a little bit more work towards the servicers as well. One of the things I've seen people say a little bit, I've seen this spread. It's not a super common talking point, but I see it mentioned sometimes, is that like Jagex are being hypocritical because they offer bonds as an option to buy gold. The reason Jagex started selling bonds, it was a genius level play. It's to compete with the gold sellers, right? And the reason Jagex wants to compete with them is because, for one, it gives them control over that market. It gives them control. They can regulate things, they can change things, they control things. And if Jagex has control over that, then the money isn't going to like a farm in a foreign country, like a computer farm in someone's basement. Like it's going nowhere, right? Versus them having control over the market, the money going back into the game and letting them like develop more towards the game. It's genius. It's like actually genius. So yes, people can get an advantage by buying gold, but buying the gold from Jagex is helping the game still, right? It's not a negative towards the game to have credit card warriors swiping and buying Torva with bonds, right? Because that money is still going towards making the game better. Like, the more revenue Jagex is pulling in, the more people they can hire, the more updates they can make, you know, those things like adding player support, like all those things that we want, those things cost money. So being like, oh, that's hypocritical. Like they shouldn't be allowed to do that. Like what? Jagex should be getting the money for that, not random like gold farms in other countries. I don't know. Old school RuneScape is going through what people are calling the golden age, where we're hitting peak player counts. Like things are looking great. We've got all the WoW players coming over. Like everything's looking great. It's very important in these times of like prosperity where like a bunch of players are coming, like a bunch of stuff is looking good, to really crack down on the botting, because that's when it starts to get out of control. It's like when it's really nice out, the lakes start getting covered in algae, like really disgusting, like green algae. Like the weather's great, everybody's having a good time, but then everything's getting covered in this disgusting muck, right? That's because it's sunny out, right? Everything's looking good, but that also is encouraging like these seedy characters that are going to be botting more, pulling in more GP, and we've just seen like the effects of that on the prices. Like all of the moneymakers are so down. Everything is down. There's so many different items that are worth nothing. So it's really good to see potentially Jagex cracking down on this. I want to see if this is cap or not. I'm very curious to see if people actually start getting banned, or if this is like, you guys better stop, and they're just hoping that this scares people and they stop. We'll see. I hope they actually are swinging the hammer here, because they really need to. It's very, very important at this point. And I genuinely think they want to. I think they've been hiring a lot of people in the anti-cheating like sector, so I'm assuming that they're trying to crack down on this because they know what's happened in the past. Like you can't let this get out of control like last time. All right, and that's it for the video. I am still playing RuneScape 3 Leagues. I kind of had a crash out after day 1 because it was so slow, but they've actually just done a cold fix to lower all the points on the relics so we can get access to them much more easily. I'm kind of excited to potentially get into endgame PVM and keep playing. I was planning on quitting, but they fixed it, so I think I'll be playing that on the Twitch. Go check it out if you're seeing this in the next few days. I'll probably be streaming it. Leave a like, subscribe, or else.